The Canon EOS 7D, well built, heavy, and 16 years old now. How does it stack up in 2025? Many consider it a great and budget-friendly starter camera if you want to get into photography. However, in my humble opinion, it still has something to offer when it comes to video. It's one of the early hybrid cameras that tried to give you a bit of both worlds, but you could say it did that with one of your hands tied behind your back. What I've got here is not the regular 7D you'll find on eBay. This one has a few tweaks that are made to it, and I'll share those later in the video, so please keep watching. The 7D comes with an APS-C 18 megapixel sensor. Looking at it from the front, it has an amazing textured surface that covers most of the front area. The handle of the grip feels great in my hands. It also has a mechanical shutter which I love, and this shutter is rated for 150,000 cycles, but I've read about many doing way more than that. Looking at the top, the power switch is on the left side, right next to the custom function knob. There's also a hot shoe, the LCD screen which has a backlight, then there are a couple of smaller buttons for white balance, autofocus drive, and ISO. There's also a scroll wheel, shutter button, and a multifunction button that I have honestly never used. On the right side is a spring-loaded compact flash card door. Yes, this camera doesn't use SD cards. I like the CF card form factor if I'm being honest. On the left side are input and output ports covered with sturdy rubber. The camera has a microphone port but no headphone port. It also has a mini HDMI port for an external monitor, which you'll definitely need if you're using this camera for video. At the back, you have the fixed 3-inch Clearview LCD screen. It has a 640 by 480 resolution. Also at the back are the quick menu and raw JPEG buttons, and the button that allows you to switch from photo mode to video mode. Right under that knob is the start-stop button to start and end recording video. There are also 5 buttons on the left side: the menu button, the picture style button, the info button, the playback mode button, and the erase button. On the right is a joystick, and the quick control dial is also handy for navigating through the menu and settings. Under that dial is an indicator light that blinks red when you're recording a video. At the bottom is the battery compartment door, which is easy to open and houses the LPE6 lithium-ion batteries. It's a pretty simple menu to navigate. Under the image quality tab, you can choose which RAW size you want to use, and it shows you the estimate size of each file. If you're not using an OEM lens, you have to enable the release shutter without card so that the camera can work with your third-party lens. You can adjust your exposure compensation values on this camera if you like. Just make sure you light your subject and environment well first before you have to go into this. You can use your camera's white balance settings or set your own custom white balance. You can select which color space to use. This camera only records 8-bit files, so I prefer going with Adobe RGB. I think it gives me more latitude in post. You can choose a picture style in the camera, but I've customized one. I'll show you the settings that I use. You can set a grid on your LCD if you want it to help you with framing your subject. For sound, you can decide whether you want to do auto or manual recording. You can change your recording level sensitivity as well, which is a great feature for a camera from 2009. The next tab takes us to bonus features. Highlight alert, which shows you have exposed areas. AF point helps you to select which autofocus modes you'd like to use. You can also use a histogram on this camera. The next bit is for camera functions: auto power off, formatting your card, file numbering, etc. The next tab has more camera functions. You can change LCD brightness, set your date and time, choose between PAL and NTSC. You can also clean this sensor. You also have battery info, which shows your battery health. Mine is showing its age now. The rest are a number of other custom settings that are pretty straightforward. This camera does 1080p HD video recording at 24 frames, 25 frames, and 30 frames. It also does 720p HD video recording at 50 and 60 frames. It also does 480p video recording at 50 frames and 60 frames per second, although you might not really like the quality of that. For NTC, you'll get 24 or 30 frames per second, and PAL will give you 24 or 25 frames per second, depending on what you choose. The Canon 7D records MOV files using a H.264 compression. I love the MOV files because they retain the quality of the image better. This is the part where I mentioned another limitation that the 7D has. It has a recording limit. You can only record 12 minutes per clip in 1080 or 720p and 24 minutes in standard definition mode. It does get warm during an extended period of shooting, and it has shut down on me only once. I have a workaround for that in my next video where I'll be making a janky run and gun rig, so please subscribe if you'd like to watch that. This camera doesn't offer a flat or C-log camera profile, so I created my own to give me a little wiggle room in post with the colors. I labeled it Cine style. I reduced the sharpness and contrast to 0 and also saturation to, I believe, -6. The Canon colors have always been amazing, really excellent even straight out of the camera, but a bit too saturated, and I like to be able to make some adjustments, and this helps you do that. So you have to use manual focus during our video recording. The great thing about this camera is once you stop down the lens, you'll get a very good depth of field. Stopping down also helps you get better focus for your shots. Another quirk is moire, due to the fact it doesn't have a low pass filter. So you just have to be careful with how you shoot on this camera. Avoid such patterns where you can, lower the sharpening in the camera, and then it should have a better image for you. The Canon 7D's internal microphone works, but it's just not reliable, so it's really wise for you to invest in an external audio device. I have no scientific way of measuring this, but from what I can see, this camera doesn't suffer from rolling shutter that can wreck an image. It's not a low light camera in the least, and even at ISO 640 and with good lighting, it starts showing graining in dark areas of your image. It's just better to stick at ISO 160 and do better lighting for a clean image. The 7D is compatible with EF mount lenses, and that is a huge collection which you can get at great prices nearly everywhere you go. The 7D has slowly changed from the asking price of $16.99 for a new body to selling on the used market for prices between $200 and $350. So that means it's really accessible when you talk about a great price for the camera body and a great price for the lenses. This is a good time to talk about the special feature that is found on this Canon 7D. Instead of the standard EF mount that comes from the factory, this Canon 7D has a PL mount on it. A select number of companies back then offered customization services to convert your EF mount to a PL mount. So the 7D was used to shoot quite a number of films. This 7D was my first ever camera, and I have some sentimental attachment to it. But my excitement quickly faded when I learned how expensive PL mount lenses were. You see, I couldn't afford a Zeiss Supreme Prime Radiance 35mm t1.5 Cine Prime lens or the Angenieux Optimo Prime 32mm t1.8 Cine lens. So I ended up not using it that much in the early days unless it was a project with a decent budget that would allow me to hire the lenses that I needed. My fortunes changed in 2021 when I learned about a company called Meike. They had just launched a new line of affordable PL mount lenses. After browsing a bit on their site, I settled for the 35mm S35 lens, and she's been great. It's the same lens I used to shoot a little random short film one afternoon. Link is in the description below. First, the build quality. I just feel I can take this camera anywhere and it won't let me down. Paired with this lens, I can get crisp images if I get my lighting and exposure right. I also like the menu. It's uncluttered and easy to use. So what are the things that I consider cons while using this camera for video? Well, for starters, this camera body paired with the metallic Meike lens is quite heavy. This is compounded with the fact that the Canon 7D doesn't have internal stabilization, so you have to be really steady with your handheld shots or go with a gimbal or tripod. The 12-minute recording limit is unfortunate because I do a lot of documentary work and battery life isn't great. It can get hot under use and it can feel outdated going out to do video with this when everyone else is using a mirrorless camera. But frankly, if you're in the zone creating, it doesn't really matter. Well, in my opinion, of course, photographers, there are a lot of photographers who love this camera and it still gives amazing photographs. The other person who might like this camera is someone on a budget. If you get a good deal, you can still do some decent 1080p video. This 7D is a good way for me to reflect on where I've come from. It also reminds me of this quote from the good book: "Do not despise humble beginnings." with the great build quality and the images you can get if you set it up just right, still make the Canon 7D worth using in certain conditions for video today. I'll use the 7D for certain personal projects as well as YouTube videos on this channel, and I really hope you'll be there for the ride. So please comment, like, subscribe, see you in the next video, and keep creating as God intended.